Good afternoon and welcome to 3 o'clock with SOC. Give me a second while I welcome our Spanish speaking neighbors. Buenas tardes. Gracias por estar con nosotros hoy día en 3 p.m. con SOC. Si quieren acceso al programa en español, por favor marquen el número que aparece en pantalla, que es 425-436-6200. Cuando le contestan la llamada, comparten el clave o contraseña que se encuentra en la pantalla también, que es 627-682. Thank you for being with us. It is June 10th, 2020. My name is Tammy Rivera. I'm the Executive Director and Lead Organizer at Southside Organizing Center, SOC or SOC. All of our staff are here ready to continue to serve you during this time until we can be together physically again safely. Our phone number continues to be 672-8090. You can email us at soc@socmilwaukee.org, and you can visit our website at www.socmilwaukee.org. And we have a whole page dedicated to information, resources, and action you can take in response to COVID-19 or the coronavirus. I want to welcome you today. Today, you have the staff at your disposal on the program. Tomorrow, we have Reggie Moore of the Office of Violence Prevention. And then we're still trying to make arrangements, even to the very last minute today. Should we or shouldn't we bring on last minute guests? Because everybody's so busy. We are, they are, to try to make that happen. But please know that we have Dr. Rob Smith committed to coming back. He's a professor at Marquette University, but he's also the director of the Center for Urban Research, Teaching, and Outreach. State Representative Marisabel Cabrera will be back with us. And we have a commitment from Griselda Aldrete, the executive director of the Fire and Police Commission, as well as Ches Ordonez from the City of Milwaukee Equal Rights Commission. And so that's just the beginning. We have many more folks, but trying to bring you our leadership, our elected officials, our hired officials, our civil rights leaders, so that you have the latest information directly from the source, the original sources. Please know that we are a certain type of nonprofit organization, and everything that we can't always weigh in on everything because of that type of organization that we are, and sometimes we haven't developed policies on certain issues. So please know that the thoughts and opinions that are shared here on the program don't necessarily reflect those of SOC. I want to remind you that we're lifting up a couple of initiatives here. This week, we know that many of you graduates didn't get all of the recognition that you deserve for your hard work. So we have a campaign here to lift up your graduation. We'd love to see a picture of you in your cap and gown or the outfit you bought for graduation, but also we want to make sure you count. And the way you do that is by your family filling out the census. So you can be creative in any way you want to do that. Please send us a picture of you and your family doing the census. That could be one picture or two pictures. One celebrating you as a graduate and the other one doing the census, or a combined picture. And then you'll be entered into a drawing for $50 gift cards. So really trying to lift you up and make sure that you're counted. Please participate in that. And then for our critical updates, I don't know if you've been following all the things that have been happening, but there's a slew of changes, as always, on a weekly, on a daily basis, sometimes on hourly. And we want to make sure that you know what's happening. And so I want to share, in case you haven't heard, that the governor yesterday put out a press release, and he announced that the Wisconsin National Guard has been withdrawn from the state. Their last day here in Milwaukee was on the 8th. And so I'm going to read a little bit of what he said so that you understand. It says that they have concluded their mission to preserve public safety and protect the rights of protesters and the media as peaceful demonstrations occurred around Wisconsin following the murder of George Floyd. Now, we know also that those protests are not, they most definitely are addressing what we all saw as a nation, such an evil act. But it also has to do with a long, well, our history long as a nation problem with racism and also police brutality. And so please know that the National Guard is gone. And so happy that we were able to share that with you. The other thing we were keeping you abreast of is the work of the Collaborative Community Committee, of which SOC has been on that executive committee as the treasurer and the research chair. And so the first action that's been taken around that is President Johnson has announced his appointments for the Collaborative Community Committee. And they go as follows. He has 3 appointments. There's a slot left open for an academic, and so it looks like he has his recommendation for that slot as well. But he has named Deborah Blanks, Dr. Deborah Blanks. You all saw her here. She was on our research team, and she has faithfully stayed on even after her endeavor as a consultant. She gave us that historical and contextual analysis of police reform. And so he's named her. I assume that that is for the academic spot that we as an executive committee have left in the CCC. So that would have continuity. And we're happy he did that because that was our recommendation to him. And then he has appointed Nate Hamilton, who was also a member of the CCC formally, but he's the co-founder of the Coalition for Justice. He is also the brother of Don Trey Hamilton, and that was another recommendation that we made both to the mayor, I believe, and to President Johnson. So we're happy that both of those were honored. And then he has appointed Dr. Pamela Malone, from professor at MATC. And then my papers are a little mixed up here. And then he has appointed Damian Smith, Youth Program Manager for Safe and Sound. The other thing we're happy to report is we wanted to ensure that there was a youth on the council. And young people are so important historically and now to the social justice movement. And so we have worked with Voces de la Frontera and their Yes, Youth Empowered in the Struggle, and they will have a representative and have made that name, have forwarded that name to serve on the committee. So we're really excited about that. The other thing that happened around the CCC, and if you remember me saying earlier, there's a big fight around it. We were obstructed from the moment we started doing our work, and that hasn't changed now. But we're going to share with you as we all share that the voices of the people, the 45 hubs that did the work to give a response to the Department of Justice, review of the police department and FPC. All the work that you all did, those 45 groups must be honored, and we're pushing forward with that, and happy to see that that's moving forward. And the other communication that was shared with me today was Commissioner Colcroft, the Fire and Police Commissioner Colcroft's affirmation that the FPC Policy and Standards Committee, they're in support, continue to be in support of the work of the CCC, and have every intention to dig in with us and move those recommendations forward and develop SOPs, etc., to make sure that that happens. So we're very excited about the people's voices continue to be lifted up and pushed forward, and we're seeing the results of that. And then the last thing I want to share with you today is to remind you that we put out a survey sharing an opportunity for our near South Side residents to give input into Chief Morales's review. The commission reappointed him and with 6-month reviews. And so we created a survey in order for you as near South Side residents to be able to give your input and feel like you wouldn't be singled out or retaliated for your thoughts about his performance, whether that's pro Chief Morales, anti-Chief Morales, or anywhere in between. What's important to SOC is that we lift up the authentic voice of the residents of the near South Side. So if you live between First and Miller Parkway, between Pierce Street and Oklahoma Avenue. That's our district. And you can give us your input. Now, what we've added in the survey, I'm going to try to share with you all. And you all let me know if it's working, okay? Because this is the first time I'm going to do it. So, how about if my staff can affirm to me that you can see the survey via text so that I know that you all can see it? I'm just waiting for the staff to confirm that they can see that on the screen. And then I'll continue. What I'd like to do is just share with you how easy it is to view. Thank you. I see that it's all good. So if you go to our website, Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook, you're going to see our promotion of the survey. Thank you, staff. I got the message. They're all chiming in now. And if you go to that link, this is what you're going to see. Survey for Chief of Police. It's in English and in Spanish. And it's really important for us to lift up our district because people start, giving narratives about what the South Side believes or doesn't. And people should speak for themselves, not have people speak for them. And so the Fire and Police Commission, they are the supervisors of Chief Morales, and they'll be conducting their 6-month review. And we want to make sure that it's near Southside residents and we don't have folks from outside of the city or other areas speaking for Southsiders. And so you're going to be asked to share your name and your address so we can verify you're a Southsider. And then we're asking for your email in order to give you the results back and to communicate back to you about it. And so the only 2 people who are seeing your name and address are myself and Edith Chavez, who is my assessment staff or our assessment staff. No one else has access to that. We'll be extracting that information, putting it all together as a whole and submitting it to the FPC. And then we'll eliminate your identification from that survey in our internal systems after we pull it. And so you can rest assured that you're free to give your opinion. It'll all be presented as a group, not singled out, and it will be forwarded to the FBC. For those of you who live outside of our area, they're still accepting input. The Fire and Police Commission is. You just need to send it to this email, fpc@milwaukee.gov. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Happy to assist you to go through that. And then just so you know, this is due tomorrow by noon. Our original goal was to have 100 folks, and so please help us to hit it out of the park and show the city and the FPC how vested you are in our law enforcement system. So let me go through it. Here you're going to put your name, your address, and your email. Super simple. And then we added 3 questions to what the FPC was requesting, and it's really easy to go through ours. Overall, how well do you think Chief Morales has done as in his job as the chief of police for our city? It's either very poor, neither poor nor good, good, or very good. Just mark that, whichever one you feel it most appropriately represents you. And then what are 3 things, if you can have 3 things, what are 3 things you think he's done well? And if you have any concerns, what are the 3 things you think he needs to improve on? And so those are like our general questions. The Fire and Police Commission have several areas they're accepting input on. And I'll go through what those are. They have the same markers. We added that. The scale of very poor, neither poor nor good, good or very good. And we have a little space for your comments. So they want to know about his leadership, his governance, budget management, public safety, standard operating procedures and policy changes, technology initiatives, community relations. How about communications with the FPC Commission, with the FPC Department, city officials, community stakeholders, and media? That's as simple as it is. And again, we're going to be gathering that information and sending it to the FPC. Once we gather it, we will share it with those of you who gave us input. And we'll keep you abreast to what's happening. I just wanted to make sure you saw how approachable it was. And if you want to comment on just one or two areas, that's fine, wherever you feel moved to share your opinion with. And again, if you have any questions, we're here to even walk you through that if that's helpful to you. I stapled my papers here backwards. I have to shuffle them. I'm sorry you have to hear all of that. Please do cooperate. I want to remind you as well before we go to the next segment that even though we're not giving out a daily gift card this week because we're putting all our efforts into the graduation, please do fill out our survey. We really need you to cooperate, want to know what's going right, what's wrong, what's been helpful, what we can change. And we want to demonstrate to our funders that we're giving you input. So please do cooperate with that. Andrea will have that in our comments. I'm going to say some hello, see if you have any questions, and then we're going to move to our coronavirus segment. Hola, Stacy. You're welcome. She says, thanks for including where people outside of our area can go. Hola, Elsa. She says they're already here. They were a little late. No worries. Glad that you're with us. All right. With that, I'd like to invite on Marlene Zaran, our coronavirus coordinator, and she's also now our forum coordinator. Hola, Marlene.
Hi. How are you?
Good.
Okay. So today, I'm going to touch base on COVID-19 phase 3. Just so you all know, we're currently still in yellow of phase 3. And which means that businesses can now open at 50% capacity. Childcare centers can operate at 50% capacity. Public and private events are allowed at 25% capacity with a maximum of 250 people. And bars, restaurants, salons, and barbershops are now open at 25% capacity. On that note, please take care of yourselves and remember to wear masks and stay 6 feet apart from individuals in public. Just want to say that just because these rules and phases are changing and we're getting better, it does not mean that we do not continue to follow the COVID-19 CDC regulations. So on that note, the topic for today is how mothers should approach taking care of their children during COVID-19. So I reached out to a couple of individuals and I got in contact with Nurse Megan Nizer. She's a public health nurse for the past 6 months, and she used to work in the postpartum care unit with newborn babies after delivery. So today I'm going to be sharing my screen with you to show you what that is.
Sure.
Hi everyone. Today with me I have Megan Nizer, and she is a public health nurse in the city of Milwaukee, and she currently just started her public health, and she just started as a public health nurse for the past 6 months. But before working in the public health field, she has definitely been engaged with newborn babies, and she's been a postpartum care nurse for babies after delivery. Megan is here to talk to us about how newborn babies and newborn mothers should be approaching the COVID-19 issue right now. So Megan is here to talk to us about that. She's going to go over simple facts that you should know as a mother with a newborn and how to approach going to the doctor and things of that sort. So hi, Megan. It's nice to have you on today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that introduction. These times have been super unprecedented and can be really scary times to have a newborn baby, especially if you're a first-time parent. it can be really intimidating to be in this pandemic with a new baby. But I think that you can take a lot of comfort in the fact that doctors are taking a lot of precautions when bringing people into the clinic. And they're also really targeting to look out for that newborn baby population. A lot of the clinics in the area that I've spoken with have started to open up the patients that they're seeing now and are seeing 4-year-olds and 11-year-olds in addition to babies under 12 months to help keep people on vaccine schedules. But prior to that, they were seeing pretty much exclusively kids under 12 months because that's a population that they really want to keep a close eye on, make sure babies are gaining weight well, but also is a big time for vaccinations. And kiddos get a lot of vaccinations in that first year of life. And so even missing 1 or 2 appointments can really throw off that schedule. So during these times, doctors have really taken a lot of precautions. Most clinics are calling people a day ahead of time to screen the parents as well as the patients for COVID-19 symptoms. They don't want to bring anyone into the clinic that might be symptomatic of COVID-19 or tested positive and put other people at risk. So they're screening ahead of time. They're also screening then when you get to the clinic. Most places have limitations on how many people can come with the baby. So most places right now, it's just the baby or child and 1 parent or guardian with the child so that there's not a large volume of people sitting in a waiting room. They're also limiting the number of visitors that can come in an hour. So usually they're seeing like 3 patients right now per hour, which is down from their typical number. So you're not spending long periods of time in a waiting room with other people also waiting for their appointment. With that number down, if you're in a waiting room, usually it's by yourself until your nurse or doctor is ready. But doctors have really, and clinics in general, have really taken advantage of virtual visits as well, and also just phone calls. So I think one of the biggest things to stress during this time is that you should still be seeking the same medical care that you would for yourself or your baby as during a pandemic time. If you're concerned about a rash or how much your baby is eating, those are also reasons to get in touch with your doctor. If you're talking to them on the phone and they're like, you know what, I think that this would be a great virtual call, great, then you don't have to go into an office. You can do it from a place that you're more comfortable. You don't have to have that exposure to different people, but you still get the same medical care. If during that visit they feel like, you know what, I think that we should bring you guys in so we can do a little more thorough assessment. That might be, there's potential for that, but a lot of places have really tapped into and are taking advantage of the technology that we have. I know that the 16th Street Clinic has a text line. It's a free text line available specific to new parents or people with new babies. So you can text in questions, you know, is my baby's had this many poops today, or my baby's eaten this many times. And just have a conversation with a medical professional without having to go into a medical clinic or hospital setting where there's that potential for exposure. But I think that also kids are presenting really differently with COVID-19 symptoms. So just keeping an eye, if you feel like your baby's acting different and you're concerned about it, get in touch with your doctor, reach out to a triage, get in touch with someone. A newborn baby can't say, I have a sore throat or headache or I feel feverish. And so if you have concerns about my baby just needs off, they're sleeping normal, or they haven't peed or whatever it might be, reach out and ask those questions, because there's providers there who are happy to speak with you about this. And I think a lot of people just don't recognize that the availability of providers is there via phone, via video call, and then in person if warranted.
Awesome. That's really informative information. Thank you so much, Megan.
Yeah, not a problem.
Do you have anything else to add onto all of this?
I think the biggest thing, like I mentioned before, is just being an advocate for yourself and your baby. And if this is something, if the concern that you have is something you would normally reach out to a doctor's office about, you should still do that, even though we're in a pandemic. It might change the way that you have your visit, meaning you might have a phone call or you might have a virtual visit, but you should still be seeking out that medical care for your baby. And so many clinics are still seeing patients for well visits. They're splitting up how often they're coming in, and they are really taking precautions to make sure that you and your baby can still get the care that you need, because that first year of life in particular is so important.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Megan.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Marlene, for those updates, keeping us up to date on what the health department is communicating about us entering into phase 3. Thank you also. A couple other folks have joined us since I said hellos. We have Charlie and Alejandra. Hola. Please do ask any questions or concerns you have or suggestions. Also, thank you to our staffer, Drea, who also put the link. If you have any complaints about interactions with law enforcement, she also put the link on there. Right now, we're doing the survey for Chief Morales' review. But if you've had any interactions that you feel were not appropriate, please do share it there. And the other thing that I want to tell you, I keep forgetting, is we have interpretation happening live. Hola, Maricano. During the program, if you call into the number that we share and is in our comments, but also you can get the program with dubbed over with the Spanish interpretation on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube site. So if you want to listen to it later or share it with someone who prefers to hear it in Spanish, you can do so at those other two locations once the program is over or during the program while it's live. I'd like to bring on now our Civic Engagement Manager, Gabe Charles, who's going to give us an update. Hola, Gabe.
Hi, Tammy. So hi, everybody. Good to be here again, as usual. I just want to share with all of you, some of you might have been getting some mailing from the Center for Voter Information, and I just want to make sure you all know that this is an official mailing. It is not any kind of spam or anything like that, so you can feel safe to return what you are getting in this mailing. So I just want to show you, this is what the envelope looks like. You can see that it says Center for Voter Information. It's just a basic envelope. And then what you'll see inside of that is you'll see this return envelope that it will be sent to the City of Milwaukee municipal clerk. So it's not even going back to who sent it to you, it's going to our municipal clerk because it is an application for an absentee ballot that's in this mailing. So this is the return envelope that you can send it in. It's paid postage, as you can see, so you don't have to put a stamp on it. And then let's just go through for a sec what's inside of it. You'll see the first sheet is, again, just kind of an explanation of what you're getting, that it's a paper application for an absentee ballot. It says Center for Voter Information again, and then just says what's the process and making sure you know that your privacy is protected. Then the next sheet, you'll see on this side, it says it's as easy as 1, 2, 3, and it goes through the different steps to fill out your ballot or to fill out your application for a ballot. And then the other side is the actual application. So the application itself is just one page. You'll see that they've already filled out a lot of your personal information. This is because they have your information from voter registration, public records. So don't be weirded out that it's on there. It's because it's public information. But yeah, so you'll see this, you just have to fill it out. And I'll just read quick what those 3 steps are that they go over. So you complete, sign, and mail the form on the reverse side of the sheet, making sure that you send it in this prepaid envelope. And then your municipal clerk office will mail you your absentee ballot. Once you get your absentee ballot, step 3 is to fill out the ballot and return it to your municipal clerk's office. And something important to keep in mind is that if you don't have any kind of ID on record with the municipal clerk, you will also have to send with this application a copy of your of some sort of identification. And I'll just read quickly from a list of what could be considered your identification. So a Wisconsin Department of Transportation issued driver's license, it doesn't matter if your privileges are revoked or suspended or anything, as long as it has your face on it. A Wisconsin Department of Transportation issued identification card. Wisconsin Department of Transportation issues identification card or driver's license that doesn't have a photo if you don't have a photo on it for religious exemption reasons. A military ID, a U.S. passport, an identification card issued by a federally recognized Indian tribe, and a photo identification issued by an accredited university or college. So your college ID can also be used. And something important to keep in mind as well is that it doesn't have to be current. It can be expired as long as it was expired after November of 2018. If it was valid before November 2018, but expired after November 2018, it could still be used. And there's a number of ways that you can get that identification, a copy of that identification into your municipal clerk. It can be through email, through fax, through mail, in person. So that mailing that I showed you, again, it's from the Center of Voter Information, lays all of that out for you. So make sure you read that. Unfortunately, it is not provided in Spanish. So if you did get this and you don't have anybody that can explain to you what it says, please reach out to SOC and we can let you know what the information is and the steps that you should be taking. And then continuing on with the topic of absentee voting, at the Judiciary and Legislation Committee meeting on Monday, Neil Albrecht, who is the executive director of the Milwaukee Election Commission, who's actually retiring, spoke on many of the challenges that we have discussed here on the forum before. And most notably, they discussed what will happen with the Safe Vote program that actually has some major changes to what it was originally going to be when it was passed in April. So originally, it was going to be a program to mail all registered voters in Milwaukee an absentee ballot application, much like what I just showed you, a paper version of this absentee ballot application. But after further research and further data was provided, they changed the plan to instead sending out a voter information packet to all residents of the city of Milwaukee, not just to registered voters. And then this voter information packet will contain graphics and data and vital information for people to know how they can register and how to request an absentee ballot. And most of all, it will be directing people to the myvote.wisconsin.gov website to register to vote and to request your absentee ballot. And I've walked through that on the show, on the forum before, and I will be doing that again in the coming weeks to show you all what it looks like on the website and how easy it is. But basically, they decided to do this to direct people to the myvote.wisconsin.gov website instead of using the paper version because of the following data. So approximately 22,000 paper absentee ballot applications were mailed out to voters. So applications that look like what I just showed you, these paper applications. But what happened was that only 8,000 of those 22,000 absentee ballot applications were actually returned. And of the ones that were returned, only 1,500 were returned with the required documentation that would make their application actually count and then allow them to receive an absentee ballot in the mail. So 1,500 of 22,000, that's about 6% of those mailings actually ended up mattering in the end because people were not submitting the required documentation, which is the ID in this case. And the information that was sent out wasn't enough for people to know what they should be sending. So with the myvote.wisconsin.gov, this portal doesn't allow you to complete your process unless you've done all of the required things. So you know that you have successfully submitted your absentee ballot request. Because I could send this in without knowing whether or not I need to send in my ID as well. And so then this wouldn't count even if I sent it in. So that's one of the benefits to directing people to the myvote.wisconsin.gov website. And they also emphasize that they have a partnership with Milwaukee Public Libraries that are now opened for people's use. So they will have special voting kiosks so that people that don't have internet access can use the myvote.wisconsin.gov portal, or for those that want to do the paper version and need printers to copy their identification and all of that to get it sent in successfully, they will have a place to do that. So please reach out to your local public library if you want to do the paper version or the online version, because they will have special voting kiosks available for all of you. And then also, I think it's really valuable that this voter information packet is going to be going to all of Milwaukee residents, not just registered voters, because that'll help increase voter turnout and empower those who haven't registered to vote. And they're actually hiring graphic designers to put in work and the graphics for this voter information packet. So hopefully it'll be really easy to understand and help guide people to the website that they need to go to. So really looking forward to having some really good voter turnout based on this information packet that will go to all Milwaukee residents. And then they also discussed what will happen to ensure that there are more polling centers available for the November elections. As we remember, painfully, we had only 5 voting centers open out of 180 for the April 7th election. And a lot of things conspired for that to happen. The moral of the story is it can't happen again. And what are they doing to make sure it won't happen again? But some of the main things that caused those closing was that more than half of the election workers are above the age of 60. And as we know, those that are 60 and above are at a heightened risk for contracting coronavirus. And so many of them dropped out prior to the election without enough time to replace them. And then there was also a lack of personal protective equipment and different sanitation products to make it safe to have polling locations open. And these are all things that Neil Albrecht said himself during this meeting. So what they are planning to do is that they have, for this time, because there's so much time before the November election, they have guaranteed personal protective equipment for election workers, and other sanitation supplies will be provided so that they can have more polling places opened for this November election. And then they also have enough time to intentionally recruit younger election workers who will be less vulnerable to contracting coronavirus, and making sure that they are trained and educated with ample time before the election to how to keep themselves safe. And if you want to apply to be an election worker, please follow this website, milwaukee.gov/helpmilwaukeevote. There's different positions that you can apply for, especially if you are a younger person who's looking to help for these elections, or if you know friends that are looking for work, have them apply, because we need to make sure that we have enough polling places open for this November election. It's too important of an election to not have enough polling places open. So tell your friends, tell your family to apply to be an election worker, and know that precautions will be taken to make sure you stay safe. And then finally, the committee approved Claire Woodall-Vogg as the new executive director of the Election Commission. I did mention that Neil Albrecht is going to be retiring after 15 years, and he will be replaced by mayor-appointed Claire Woodall-Vogg. And the Judiciary and Legislation Committee accepted this nomination and recommended it for passing in the Greater Common Council. So anything that happens in a committee meeting will then be recommended to the Greater Common Council to actually be voted on to be adopted. So same with the new safe vote, that also has to go through the Common Council. Same with this appointment of Claire Woodall-Vogg as the new executive director of the Election Commission. All of those, the things that happen in the committee level, will then have to get passed at the Common Council. And that's going to be on Tuesday, will be the Common Council meeting. So we'll, as usual, keep you all informed about what's going on, and look forward to seeing how this safe vote pans out, and making sure that people can vote and can get their absentee ballots requested. I will now, of course, talk about the census as usual. It's super important, even with everything that's going on. We need to remember to tell our family and our friends and our neighbors and everybody in our lives to be making sure we are counted in the census. Our promotion this week, again, is to make sure our graduates count, remembering that we care deeply about them and we know that they care about their future and their community's future. So we want to make sure our graduates count, and then are making sure their families count as well. So I'll leave you with a video that again talks about the census and what it affects, what it impacts, who should be doing it, which is everyone. And I will look forward to talking to you all soon.
Today is the last day to submit a census-related graduation photo to enter to win a $50 gift card and to be featured in our Class of 2020 slideshow this Friday, June 12th. Be as creative as you'd like, just make sure it's related to the census in some way. Submit your 2020 census graduation photos here on Facebook or to soc@socmilwaukee.org. Get those photos in today, please! Thank you and congratulations to all of our neighborhood graduates.
Thank you, Marisol. Right now, I'd like to take some time. And for all of you who are here with us, how many of you have either completed the survey about Chief Morales, or if you don't live in our area, you sent an email in, or you're gonna commit to doing it? Can you just, how about give us a thumbs up that you're gonna do it? Elsa, I know that I sent you a message asking if we could have the Alas family, those who live on the near south side, all your members, if they would fill that out for us. So how about we hear from some of you? I've been getting some text messages and want to thank you all who have committed so far. Thank you, Antonia Bautista. She has committed. Becca Barbosa, she lives outside of our area and has already sent in her her email directly to the FPC. Thank you, Cheryl Blue. Thank you, Michael Egley. Thank you, Ana Chacon. So happy that you all are really digging in and committing to have your voices heard. Thank you, Tina Canales. So many. I don't know that I'd be able to share. Literally, there are a gazillion here. But I'd like to see from you all. Thank you, Drea, that you committed. Thank you, Karina's committed. So happy for folks that are really, thank you, Justin. Listen, this is important stuff. And if we don't speak for ourselves, in the absence of information, people plug in their own narratives. And you don't want that to happen. Thank you, Berta, for agreeing to help, and Carmen Ortiz, Grisela Zavala, Marianne Galicia, Maribel. So glad that you guys are digging in and having. Thank you, Jose, has got his in. So please do cooperate, folks. It's an important matter. Either way, whether you support him or whether you don't support him or you're in between, what's important is that you speak for yourself and that there's an accurate portrayal of what the South Side feels as a community. Individuals all feel differently, but as a community, and even if that's a split message, we just want it to be accurate and reflect your voice. I want to remind you that we have some really important things taking place that you want to participate in. Marisol just reminded us about lifting up our graduates and giving them some more attention. And then we have the Chief Morales's review survey. And then these are the folks you're going to be hearing from in the next couple of days. Dr. Rob Smith, Marquette University professor and the director of their Center for Urban Research, Teaching, and Outreach, State Representative Marisabel Cabrera. Tomorrow, Reggie Moore from the Office of Violence Prevention of the City of Milwaukee will be here. The executive director of the FPC has committed to being on, Griselda Aldrete, and Ches Ordonez, the chair of the Equal Rights Commission. So you don't want to miss that. And you don't want to miss updates on what's happening over that battle over the CCC. And so stay here, stay tuned for the latest. Didn't Marlene and Gabe and Marisol just do an incredible job? I am so proud of our staff, and I mean ours as in they belong to SOC and they belong to you, the near South Side. So please, like, share your appreciation. The information you're getting now hasn't been shared with us ever that I can remember. And I've been in this game since the mid 1980s on a consistent basis, helping you to understand that civic engagement is not just something we do on the day that we vote, but it's year round, and it's super important. I just want to add a couple of dates that you should pencil in as well. As Gabe was talking, I was just thinking so much information to help us understand the processes of elections and voting. But mark Tuesday, August 11th down, because that's our primary for the November elections, and the November elections are November 3rd. And then the other piece that I wanted to add on is some of us, including myself and my son, we marked that we wanted to get all of our, moving forward, all of our election ballots, absentee ballots. And even though we marked that, we still got what Gabe shared with us today, the application to apply. So even if you marked in the spring election that you want all the elections going forward for your ballot to be mailed, just go ahead and do that. Again, even if you marked it, because we noticed we did and we still got one of those. So what's critical here is that you get to vote. So just wanted to share our personal experiences there. So we want to thank you for being with us. Anything that we share here is on our comments. You can see this program back on Facebook and at YouTube, both English version and a fully Spanish version. So take advantage of that. If you're like, oh, I didn't catch what she said, etc., you can visit that. Thank you for being with us. We ask you to come back and be with us tomorrow with Reggie Moore of the Office of Violence Prevention at 3 o'clock with SOC. And we want to leave you with thank yous for our other partners. You partner with us. We partner with all kinds of organizations and folks, and our funders partner with us. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock with SOC.
SOC viewers, we would like to thank everyone for supporting our 3 o'clock with SOC live show and for completing our SOC surveys. In addition to thanking all our residents, we would like to say thank you to our following sponsors: Wisconsin Voices, Community Development Block Grants, Neo Philanthropy State Infrastructure Funds, Movement Voters Project, Catholic Campaign for Human Development, Tides Foundation, the Silber Foundation, City of Milwaukee Office of Violence Prevention, City of Milwaukee Promise Zones, and all our faithful individuals who support SOC through donations. Thank you.